Maine's Petit Manan Peninsula is protected from the ocean's violence by reefs of granite formed millions of years ago by the Gouldsboro Pluton and berms of cobbles formed by wave action on these granite reefs and shores. Geographically isolated and nearly an island, Petit Manan preserves a collection of distinct and uncommon natural community types. These cobble berms are formed by wave action over many years, and interestingly, the height of the berms and the size of the cobbles increase with the amount of exposure to direct wave action. The more direct the wave action, the higher the berm and the larger the cobbles. Dead trees are a result of flooding behind the cobble berm. A few feet of sea level rise due to global warming will put portions of Petit Manan underwater. At low tide, the granite shoreline bottom is exposed, where we see the granite covered in rockweed, a species of brown algae or seaweed found along the northern New England coast. Torn rockweed forms a dark band at high tide lines on the cobble berms. Rockweed species are common in the intertidal zones of downeast Maine. Bunker Reef is the dark exposed reef to the left at low tide, curving out to the sea toward Petit Manan Lighthouse. The point of Petit Manan is partially protected by a granite reef pointing south into the open ocean. This is a remarkably calm day for this coast. The high tide line is marked by an older black band of rockweed, and the lower brown band is more recent, but will turn black over time. A saltwater marsh dominates the portion of the point behind the cobble berm, which is also the outlet for Big Pond. Not many people set foot here, or have even seen this very different landscape up close. The nearest public trail is the Hollingsworth Trail to Chair Pond, about 3 miles north on the trailless east shore of Petit Manan. The landscape here is very wet, and walking is difficult anywhere other than on the cobble berms at the shorelines. Trees and shrubs have difficulty obtaining sufficient nutrients and stability in this harsh salt spray environment to get a start. As we turn to the west, we see the mountain on Mount Desert Island far to the southwest. We also see cloud cover over the sea and clear sky to the north, a common occurrence with inland weather often different from weather on Maine's coast. Coastal weather is significantly influenced by the more constant sea temperature, among other factors. The Petit Manan Peninsula is nearly an island, and because of its isolation, has many rare or exemplary plant communities, according to an inventory published by the Maine Natural Areas Program. Among them are black spruce barren, brackish tidal marsh, coastal plateau bog ecosystem, downeast maritime shrubland, jack pine woodland, maritime slope bog, maritime spruce fir forest, northern white cedar swamp, open headland, spruce pine woodland, and tall grass meadow. Found here are rare plants, animals, and wildlife habitats, and the offshore islands have isolated rare seabird nesting sites, including puffins. The substrate of this Petit Manan Peninsula consists of exposed solid bedrock or unconsolidated glacial deposits underlain by bedrock. The varied geology of the Maine coast, characterized by deeply indented bays, high rocky cliffs, broad mudflats, cobble beaches, and numerous coastal islands, is unique in the eastern United States. The millions of year-old igneous and metamorphic bedrock, some from plutons, determines the general shape of the shorelines. Continuing north up the Petit Manan Peninsula, we re-enter an almost different day, with blue sky, sun on the ground, and little wind. Flying over and along the eastern shore of the peninsula, we see brackish Big Pond abutting the shoreline cobble berm. This pond is fed seawater through the berm or by wave spray, and freshwater from the high inland landscape which drains freshwater down to the pond through a large wetland having fen characteristics and small coastal bogs. The sculpting seen on the cobble berm is caused by wave action in both the pond and the ocean. Notice the cobble berm increases in height whenever there is little or no rock reef protecting the shoreline from extreme wave action, and decreases in height where there is a reef causing waves to break offshore. The dead trees to the left are caused by flooding, likely to continue with sea level rise. The dark color of the rocks in the tidal zone are actually light-colored granite, like the cobble berms, but they turn dark brown with immersion and their covering of rockweed. Again, we see sculpting of the cobble berm, and see that the berm is higher here, where there is little reef protecting it from the open sea or ocean. In the intertidal zone, we see extensive reefs of granite darkened by the attached rockweeds, a portion of which changes to a golden color in summer months with more sun exposure. Woodpond Point on the eastern shoreline is a beautiful point with a small island of trees and a meadow of seaside goldenrod. The brackish pond at Wood Point is mostly seawater with some fresh, as it is subject to flooding at the highest tides, evidenced by the dead rockweed on the outlet channel berms. On a day with a higher tide, we see another type of rocky shoreline, populated with slabs of granite and metamorphic sedimentary rock instead of cobbles, as we fly south along the east coast of Petit Manan. Around the next point, we find a tall cobble berm behind a cove open to the sea as another example of open shorelines having higher berms. This berm also shows evidence of sculpting by waves and wind, with the berm continuing on to Woodpond Point. The point at Woodpond stands out as we approach from the north on a higher tide. The island of trees may be an important navigation landmark, and the lovely meadow of seaside goldenrod is muted without some sun. The outlet for Woodpond can clearly be seen on the cobble berm. Flying west across Petit Manan, we see sedge meadows, fens, and a coastal sloping bog in the wetlands ahead. Tall trees are an indication of higher land elevations on granite bedrock, part of the Gouldsboro Granite Pluton, underlying the area from the Scudic Peninsula southwest of here to Petit Manan. The more open green area to the right, with very few trees, is a coastal sloping bog joining a flat bog below, identified by the more reddish-orange coloring, with an area of trapped water at its center. A man-made dam has raised the water level in the wetland above the dam and altered what was originally an extensive unpatterned fen. This dam was created to attract waterfowl species at the expense of altering the original landscape some 40 years ago by Maine and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. As we travel north up the center of the altered wetland and Petit Manan, numerous beaver lodges can be seen, most of which are now unoccupied, as the carrying distance to suitable saplings is likely too far. The dominant forest type on Petit Manan is spruce and mixed hardwoods, with a few cedar swamps and a very rare jack pine woodland on granite barrens. An island of trees is evident in the wetland, sitting on a dome of granite. Note the tree die-off surrounding this wetland due to the higher water level caused by the dam and beavers. The land on the left is underlain with granite, outcrops of which are visible along the left edge of the wetland. Soils here are very thin, and trees root in cracks of the granite for moisture and nutrients. Just beyond on the left, we see the lighter green of the lightly forested sloping maritime bog. Passing again over the man-made dam, we see a backhoe and several lengths of corrugated pipe suggesting someone is installing a new outlet. Further south toward the point, a beaver dam is holding back fresh water above Big Pond. A beaver lodge is located just above the dam, but the beaver dam looks to be inactive given the vegetation growing on the dam with no visible signs of saplings that would indicate a beaver is actively maintaining the dam. Bunker Reef is the dark reef curving out from Petit Manan, pointing toward the lighthouse on Petit Manan Island, now an active nesting site for protected seabirds like puffins and laughing gulls. Water from brackish Big Pond drains to the sea through the cobble berm at the base of Bunker Reef after passing through the brownish-colored salt marsh below. We leave the isolated and diverse Petit Manan Point and fly northeast toward the impressive cobble berm and seaside goldenrod meadow of Wood Pond Point. Wood Pond and its lovely goldenrod meadow are a fitting end to this tour of Petit Manan on a lovely sunny day.